Well, it looks like September is heating back up again because we have a whole bunch of crowdfunding campaigns to go through. Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co., and this is going to be the upcoming campaigns for September. We're looking at various crowdfunding campaigns from Kickstarter to Back-A-Kit to Gamefound, going over all of these campaigns, trying to figure out what there is, and as usual, starting off the bat with the reminder that you want to go ahead, let me just go ahead and head over to my subscriptions over here, and just find Shelf Clutter, and the Dark Truth about Crackalope. What the dragons do? I don't know what this is. We'll look into this later, but let's just go ahead to Shelf Clutter. Sorry about this, 1 second. We need to go ahead and find Shelf Clutter here. But Shelf Clutter, reminder to go ahead and check out Shelf Clutter if you want to find the most updated information about any number of different things going on in terms of the campaigns. I do this series once every single month, and I have the information that I have, but I also specifically and intentionally cut out a lot of things for the sake of time, usually projects that have less attention, but projects that you might specifically want to be focusing on, as well as my information is, well, for the next month, which means it's not as up to date. Things change, Kickstarters get pushed off, get new Kickstarters and Gamefounds and all those things, and Back-Kits get added to the conversation. And so if you want the most updated information, Shelf Clutter does a weekly video every single week. Well, that's the nature of what a weekly video is. Shelf Clutter does a video every single week where he goes over all the crowdfunding campaigns with significantly more up-to-date information than what I currently have. You can go ahead and subscribe to him over there, and we'll figure out that Crackalope thing some other time. But before I dive into it, one more just disclaimer or whatnot. I recently got hired by Gamefound, so take that into account as I go through these. Not that there's a lot of opinions going on here in this particular video, but nonetheless, just take that into account. And starting off the bat with some Gamefound campaigns, we have Green Planet. We have Green Planet that's going to be designed by Dirk Henn, who's done Alhambra, Metro, Shogun, some amazing games. Metro, not as much a game that, I actually haven't played Metro, I should be fair to that one. But Alhambra and Shogun, both fantastic games. Dirk Henn has put out a lot of games, and this is Green Planet, coming on Gamefound from Queen Games. I believe the first Queen Games campaign over on Gamefound, if I'm not mistaken. But over here, this is going to be a simultaneous dice selection game that combines easy-to-learn rules, fast playtime, and difficult decisions. Launching in a day. I went over the how to play briefly over here. It looks interesting without necessarily me getting a great idea of how to play from these images alone. You're moving things along, you're putting stuff out, you're covering stuff up. It looks good. It looks good in Dirk Henn, which has me interested, but as far as how to play, I don't actually have more information there, at least not yet. Then we have Space Explorers Age of Ambition and Prehistories Evolutions expansion. These are going to be 2 expansions, and I assume base games as well. Launching Gamefound, this is going to be coming September 6th, which the next 17 campaigns are coming September 6th. September 6th is a day that you should have either a very, very large balance on your credit card, or multiple credit cards, or just don't back that many games. Don't back that many games. That's the way to go. Don't back that many games. Try to be selective about the things you want and pick the ones that you think are most likely to spark joy in your life. But we have Prehistories Evolutions and Space Explorers, the other title. Space Explorers Age of Ambition. 2 games. I've played Prehistories, enjoyed that one, fun polyomino game. Have not played Space Explorers, but it's going to be giving you both games, both expansions over on Gamefound to dive into these games and or extended variations or versions of these games. Then we have Forsaken coming from Game Trays. This one I have played. Forsaken coming from Travis Chance, from Michael. I don't remember your last name. I apologize. I don't remember your last name. Travis and Michael and Game Trays, and this is an open world sandbox adventure. This is going to be an open world sandbox adventure. Let me just mute my phone, which is dinging away here. An open world sandbox adventure, kind of reminiscent to Western Legends in the general style of the game, but with significantly more going on. Lots of story, lots of backstory, lots of choices, lots of branching narratives, tons of story cards being moved into the deck, tons of decisions impacting the next events that happen as you play through this one. There's actually a gameplay over on my channel. You can check that out. There should be a review coming, well, soon, maybe this week. It'll be a gameplay over on Crackalope. There's going to be a bunch of content around this game, but Forsaken is giving you a very, very significant open world adventure with a ton of stuff going on. Possibly too much stuff. You have to take that into account as well, but a lot going on here, and I really enjoyed this one. Then we have, well, I guess there are opinions. I lied. There are opinions in this video. Take the opinions into account. We have Atlas Lost, Rise of the New Sovereigns. Don't remember much about this one. I remember it was supposed to launch last month, and it didn't, and now it's coming out this next month, and I have too many games to go over to talk loosely about games that I don't know well enough to say words about. So Atlas Lost, Rise of the New Sovereigns, coming September 6th, I believe, maybe, possibly. We have Anawak from Cinco Souls Games. This is a miniature strategy game. It's set in the Mesoamerican, that's the word. Mesoamerican miniature war game. I actually think I said it already and I missed it. This is launching September 7th, which actually means it's a little out of order because I think a lot of these are September 6th. Let me just check. Or is it September 7th? No, September 6th. Most of these are September 6th titles. But we have miniatures war game, Anawak. I don't know much about it. The one miniature I saw didn't look that inspiring for a game that's called a miniatures war game, but I don't know. We'll see. I'll wait till September 7th and have more of an opinion then. We have Magical Magical Friends and How to Summon Them. This is a relaunch campaign. This is a Kickstarter that unfortunately did not fund. I did have a chance to cover this one, although they have made changes to them, so take that into account as you go through this, that my coverage is outdated and old. Sadly, I will not have new coverage in the game. I'm too backlogged as it is, and doing videos on multiple campaigns is harder for me to justify. But that said, take that into account. Overall, I like the game as it was. I'm curious to see what changes they actually made to it. This is a racing game that feels very small world in terms of the feeling it's giving you. It felt very small world-esque. The word esque happens a lot on this channel. It's board game esque. It's tabletop adjacent. The esques and adjacent. It's adjacent esque. It's tabletop. Yeah, either way. This is Magical Friends How to Summon Them. A small world combined with a racing game. That's the net result what you have over here. We have Fortify from Barrel Age Games, who I believe did, oh my gosh, I'm gonna blank on this. They did that it's a thematically, I'm sorry, no, not First Creator, what are you talking about? Moonshine Empire, there we go. Designers of Moonshine Empire. Even though this is first created, I guess it's a new profile. But Moonshine Empire, same designers. Fortify is going to be a game of trying to stack boxes as you toss water balloons back and forth to hit your opponents. You're basically going to have a bit of a card system where you're trying to pull cards, create little fortifications for yourself, and then roll dice to try to both, build out your forts, to try to throw water balloons at your opponents. It's basically a fort game. Think a little bit of, I don't know, what's that game? There's a game, Bandita. Think a drop of Bandita in terms of the way you're connecting different things to build stuff out, and then a little bit of a competitive aspect to the game and tossed on top of that. Tossed not being the intended verbiage, but pun intended, I guess. Elric Rise of the Young Kingdoms. This is not the campaign you're looking for. This is the old campaign that was cancelled, and they are relaunching, I believe, September 6th. This is going to be based on the novels by Michael Moorcock. This is going to be Elric Rise of the Young Kingdoms, a semi-cooperative game in which you're trying to make your way towards the inner city and just to sack it entirely. Working with the other players, but ultimately there's only one winner, but you kind of have to work together or you're definitely, totally, absolutely going to die. I should have coverage on this one if you want to check it out. Overall, I enjoyed this one, although the semi-co-op aspect, if you're concerned about semi-co-op, I do think this has the semi-co-op stuff to be concerned about. Anyways, moving on from there, we have Dawn of Ulos. Dawn of Ulos coming September 6th to Kickstarter. This is going to be coming to you from I'm not going to try to pronounce it. I've done the name. I've said the name before. At the moment, I'm forgetting it. From Keith from Thunderworks Games. This is going to be taking place in the role-player universe. The role-play adventures, cartographers, and now Dawn of Ulos. This is going to be an Acquire-style game. An Acquire-style game if you played Acquire. Kind of stock-taking, although thematically doesn't necessarily feel that way. But you're basically trying to take over the various lands and whatnot as you deal with the various races and classes and whatnot. But you got the various species. But you're going to have different areas of the board that each race then has a different degree of affinity towards. You're trying to build these things out to strengthen those races as you eventually clash and try to take things over. Kind of, again, stock taking, a little bit like Acquire, although thematically very, very different in this tile-laying game as you manipulate the rise and falls of mortals. But yeah, that's basically Dawn of Ulos. Then we have Quodd Heroes 2nd Edition. This is going to be another relaunch. They had this one on Kickstarter. This one, unfortunately, did cancel. Go back to Kickstarter September 6th. I really hope this does fun, does well. Quodd Heroes is a fantastic game. It's one of those games that is hard to table. Not a lot of people know about. It's not cheap, but oh my gosh, every time I play Quodd Heroes, I have so much fun. Even just for this game, I dove into it again for the 2nd Edition to be able to talk about it more, and it's one of those games that sometimes I think I should purge because I haven't played it in a long time, and then I play it again, and I'm like, this is why I love the game. This is Quodd Heroes. It's a programming game. He says it's not programming, I guess, the designer, but I do think of it as a programming game as you try to figure out how to tactically manipulate your quad to bounce around the board using their own abilities, using the board itself, using the various upgrades and gears and items and all these things to strategically navigate your way around the board more efficiently than the other players. It is delightful, it is funny, it is hilarious. I love this game. Love, 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 love. I should probably stop with the loves. There are definitely opinions in this video. Moving on, we have Rise and Fall from Ludically. This is another one coming September 6th. This was a fantastic game, by the way. Had a chance to play this a few times. I'll have review coverage coming. This was really, really solid. Ignoring the way it looks, which it does look great, but I don't know what the final game, I don't know if this is like final or prototype. The prototype looked like that. Either way, looked delightful, but played delightfully too. Very tactical, very strategic. Some aspects of it which I want to see more, but you're basically trying to play cards. Your cards are your engine, so it's got a bit of a, you have to be mindful of what troops you build because you're going to have a more diluted, but more flexible as you build out your nation's history. So do you go with more focus? Do you go with more flexible? How do you manage that as you take units in and out of combat? As you say, I'm going to be activating all my merchants, and then you play the card and all your merchants activate, all your cities activate. So you have these very interesting turns as you try to focus on growing more strong, more powerful. From the creator of Dungeon Twister and Archipelago, really enjoyed Rise and Fall. Highly recommend this one, but we'll see what happens. Anyways, moving on to Legacy of You from Shem Phillips. This is a solo campaign game from Shem Phillips. This is going to do phenomenally well, I assume. It might be the first one from Garphill Games I back. I am very interested in this one. Our Garble games has always been interesting to me. Hadrian's Wall is absolutely fantastic. Most of the other games have not worked quite as well for me, even though they are amazing and work for many, many, many other players, many other people, just not as much for me. But Legacy of You as a solo campaign game, I'm very intrigued. Maybe I'll justify this one, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll pick it up retail, maybe I'll pick it up on Kickstarter. I do not know. We will find out. Then we have announcing the Fox Expirment coming to Kickstarter September 6th to 30th. This is from Pandasaurus Games, and it's the Fox Expirment. Co-designed by Elizabeth Hargrave, and when I say co-designed, by the way, I just mean that there's two names in the box. I don't know which one did. It's like Elizabeth Hargrave and Jeff Fraser. So I don't know what, either way, Elizabeth Hargrave and Jeff Fraser, let's say it that way. But over here, this is the Fox Expirment. It is it's a roll and write with a bit more going on to it. You're gonna be rolling dice, breeding foxes, trying to breed the best foxes as you go through this, marking things on your board. A lot going on in this one, lots of variability, or seemingly lots of variability to the experience, but ultimately we shall see. That is the Fox Expirment, which means I need a coffee break, and then we'll head on to the next one, and we're less than halfway done here. We got a lot of campaigns to go through. In any case, moving on to Weimar, the Fight for Democracy. This coming to you from Matthias Kramer, and this is going to be a card-driven system. So, for context, he designed Watergate as well as a whole bunch of other games. I'm just mentioning Watergate 1 because it's one of my favorite games, and 2 because that's also a card-driven system. This is giving you a journey through the history of the Weimar Republic. Don't know anything about it past that, and the fact that it's a card-driven game from Matthias Kramer, which makes me inherently interested in it. How interested? We'll see, because honestly, theme doesn't do a thing for me. Then again, the theme of Watergate didn't do a thing for me either, so time will tell on this one. We shall see. We have Merchant's Cove Mastercraft. This is going to be the the expansion to the critically acclaimed Merchant's Cove and all that stuff, although critically is probably the incorrect words. It's Merchant's Cove is a game that has a lot of positive feedback and a lot of mixed feedback. I'm more on the positive camp, although sadly have not gotten a chance to continue to play my game because it just does not get prioritized. Too many people in my game group were more in the medium camp, and I enjoyed it, but I need people to actually play it with. Merchant's Cove is going to be bringing back a whole bunch of stuff, bringing me at least four, we'll see what happens with the stretch goals and all that stuff, but 4 new merchants with their own unique asymmetric puzzles, a whole new board down here, as well as a bunch of other things going on the main board, more rogues, more this, more that, more locations, more everything going on. But we'll see what happens with this one. This will be a big Kickstarter, I imagine, we'll see, but Merchant's Cove coming soon to Kickstarter. Then we have the royal relaunch of Kingmaker. Kingmaker is an older title, like a 1974 title if I'm not mistaken. I think it's like a 1974 title that's had a Kingmaker 2 and a Kingmaker 2nd edition and all those things. But this coming to Kickstarter, not back to Kickstarter, September 9th, the royal relaunch includes Classic Kingmaker and the reimagined Kingmaker 2. I don't know anything about this one. This is one of those games that always existed and I always chose to pass by. Never heard enough positive stuff to really feel the need to dive into it, but I'm intrigued. I'm happy to see a game this old continuing to be brought back at the very least. Then we have Rivet Wars Reloaded. This is going to be coming to you September 6th. Another September 6th title. We have a whole bunch. Some of these do look a little out of order, I'm realizing. But Rivet Wars Reloaded, coming from Steamforge Games. I just had coverage on this one. This is Rivet Wars, which, well, this is a Reloaded, which is reloaded from the original Rivet Wars, which Kaan Games did way back in like 2012, 2014, something like that. And they never really got expanded or continued upon, despite a lot of people wanting it to be expanded and continued upon. And so they're relaunching the entire system with new factions, new campaign, new solo mode, a whole bunch of everything going on, streamlined rules, updated card art, a bunch of stuff. They're basically redoing the system with new content, although I believe it's meant to be compatible with everything you have until now, so I don't think you have to upgrade stuff. I don't know if they'll have an upgrade kit. I don't know any of that. But this is Rivet Wars, so bringing you more Rivet Wars back to your table with an entirely new faction, entirely new content, entirely new small adjustments to the gameplay as far as different things, adjustments that I've enjoyed from having played the Reloaded version. Rivet Wars is a game I had in my collection for a very long time, and I'm very excited for the Reloaded version, specifically the solo campaign. That is what I really want, where I really want to dive into on this one. Then we have Tales of War. Tales of War, which I don't have much information on this one, a competitive skill-based board game of medieval fantasy battles. I checked out the page on Board Game Geek, didn't see the images they had didn't look that compelling, but they have 2,800 followers, so somewhere along the way they've compelled people to follow this one. I don't know what the deal is with this one. I'm sure I'm missing something, but Tales of War, competitive skill-based board game, medieval fantasy battles for 2 players. I'm pretty sure it's for 2 players. Either way, moving on to Kingdom Come Deliverance, the board game from Boardcubator. This is going to be over on Gamefound. I almost said on Boardfound. This is going to be over on Gamefound. 13,000 people following this project. This is an app-driven game of, well, trying to figure out, I mean, this is September 12th, app-driven game. Your choices matter. You're going to have your characters wandering around. You're going to be engaging with the world around you. You're using the app to drive things forward and to immerse yourself into the experience in a way that remembers the world around you, remembers the encounters and experiences you had. It looks like a very ambitious project. Should have more information on the channel, hopefully. We'll see. But this is Kingdom Come Deliverance from Boardcubator. That's why I almost said board fan, because it's from Board Cubator. It's not just completely having a stroke. It actually has a reason for it. Then we have Lunar Rush from Dead Alive Games. Lunar Rush for a Euro-style game for 1 to 4 players. Lunar Rush is giving you a simultaneous play Euro-style board game. The simultaneous play part basically means that you're going to be going through a phase where you try to bid over who gets what rocket to the moon, but then past that, once you get your rocket to the moon and once you get your resources up there, you're going to be playing your own little game as far as how to build things out, where to allocate resources, what to do with your turn to make everything work, so you can kind of navigate your own little Euro puzzle, and then you're like, okay, now we're done, let's resolve everything, let's see how it all played out, and let's send resources back to Earth where we can go ahead and sell them at the market. There's definitely competitive degrees of bidding for things and trying to get in each other's way in this game, but a lot of the core action stuff will also be done in your own area as you try to efficiently optimize around the choices you've made while trying to be competitive in the game. I had a chance to play this one. I have review content going up at some point, but overall really enjoyed this one. Lunar Rush is a solid game. I want the game. I don't love the look of the game, like the literal look, but past that, really enjoy the actual gameplay. So Lunar Rush from Dead Alive Games. Then we have Sagrada Artisans. This is going to be Sagrada Legacy. Do I know anything about it? No. I know it's Sagrada with a legacy aspect to it. Dice drafting, which means that's Sagrada. Sagrada is dice drafting. How does this play out as far as the legacy aspect? No idea. Does it feel like a game that needs a legacy mode? Not sure about that quite yet. It's interesting because I generally enjoy games more when legacy is pasted onto it, but sometimes it feels more like it's a natural fit, and sometimes it feels more like you're trying to have legacy on a game. I haven't played Sagrada Legacy. I have no opinion there. I'm talking about the general concept of legacy games. Either way, I'm definitely intrigued because I like Sagrada and I like legacy games, so usually that's enough to have me at least partially interested in what's going on over here. Then we have Mushroom Sorcerer. This is going to be another one that I covered last month as far as a game that was supposed to launch in August and did not, and so you can check out that coverage for more information on what Mushroom Sorcerer is, because I don't remember at the moment. Then we have from there, we have Age of Inventors. Age of Inventors coming September 13th. You can see we're almost done with the list over here, and most of these are just the first half of September, which is once again why you want to subscribe to Shelf Clutter, because not in the first half. We're like 2/3 of the way through the list, and we're in the first like 2 weeks of September. So there's going to be a lot of stuff coming. There's going to be a lot of changes. There's going to be a lot of cancellations and push-offs and adjustments. Subscribe to Shelf Clutter. Highly recommend it. Anyways, Age of Inventors. You're going to be trying to deal with the recruiting inventors, Einstein, Edison, and Tesla, as you go through this worker placement game of trying to, well, something, purchase equipment, inventions, and stuff. If it sounds like I don't know enough about the game yet, it's because I don't know enough about the game yet, but I will shortly, but we'll find out more about it. This is Age of Inventors. It's worker placement, and like similar to, what was the game we covered earlier today? We covered, we covered... Nope, Powerline, nope, there was a game, Fortify, no, Elric, Dawn of Ulos, Quodd Heroes. I could have sworn we talked about a game, maybe it's a different video. Either way, we have Age of Inventors, so we'll talk more about that one at some point, but that's coming September 13th. Then we have Necromolds Bottom Monster Battles. This is, well, the Board Game Geek page for the original Necromolds, but Necromolds is going to be coming back to Kickstarter or Gamefound or Back-Kit, to one of those things in September, bringing you back more Play-Doh-based goo as you try to play through a game of... I mean, the toy factor is high in this one. That's what I'll say. The toy factor is high in this one. It's rated at 8.2, which is fairly impressive, but also only 103 ratings, so take that into account. Could go either way in that one. But Necromolds, I mean, I saw this at Gen Con, like completely sold out. You're basically making Play-Doh into a board game, which has a high toy factor. Whether the game's good or not, I don't yet know. I haven't played this one. Certainly intrigued by the toy factor. Then from there, we have Age of Comics: The Golden Years, another worker placement game. Worker placement game which you're trying to build out. You're trying to be a comic writer, distributor, or something in the comics industry as you try to figure out the demand for your comic, the right genres to play to, where to market and sell them. This is worker placement in comic building. Age of Comics coming to Kickstarter shortly enough. Then we have a backer kit. I think this one's coming back kit. We'll see. But this is Arch Ravels Magic Socks, an expansion to Arch Ravels. No idea what the expansion actually does. This should be coming in September though, so we'll see at some point. I don't have an actual date on this one. In fact, the next bunch, I'm pretty sure I don't have dates for the next bunch or so we'll see. This is actually launching in 20 days, so we have dates. I just can't read. That's a very different conversation. Then we have RONE Invasion, another game that has a date that this time I did see it. This is going to be, I don't know if it's launching on BackKit or not. I haven't yet figured out the interface as far as when a game is launching on BackKit versus when BackKit's kind of telling us about the game. Don't know exactly yet. But RONE Invasion, this one does look very cool. Cool does not mean good. It does look cool though. A strategic post-apocalyptic deck and dice building for 1 to 2 players, expandable to 1 to 4. So offhand, that already compels me because deck and dice building sounds good. 1 to 2 players means it will likely see play, featuring unique customizable dice. If we can scroll down, you can see over here, that looks like it could be super cool or super gimmicky. Depends on how they do it. And then past that, thematically looks cool. The card, the dice, the drafting, all that stuff. The art looks great. No idea what the game actually is past that, but looks intriguing enough to be paying attention to at the very least, along with 1,600 other people. And then we have over here, we have Fateforge, Chronicles of Kaan. This one should be launching on Kickstarter, I believe mid-September. I have to double check my dates on this one. But either way, Fateforge Chronicles of Kaan from Mighty Boards. This is a game of... how do you even describe this one? There's a lot of story going on and a lot of encounters. You're going to be alternating between a whole degree of large story, each of which the story is going to dive into these encounters you're going to have, and you're going to try to be going through these combat encounters, trying to stay alive, make choices, build up your character. You're going to be mindful of your energy expenditure, your health expenditure, because you don't heal after each combat. You have to be mindful of what you do and the choices you make. Had a chance to dive into this one. I'm still playing through it more, but I will have coverage on it. I will say overall first impressions definitely favorable. How favorable, we'll have to wait and see as we continue to go through it. It will almost certainly be called a first impression. It's just because of how much content there is for this game, how large of an actual experience it is, and how little I'll get to see as well covering the prototype. But either way, we'll talk more about that. That's Fateforge Chronicles of Kaan. Then we have The Aegean Sea by Carl Shuduk, who I'm probably butchering his name, I apologize, and Asmadi Games. And this is, it seems like a very much going back to his roots, going back to Carl Shuduk has done a bunch of games, including the one he's most famously known for is probably Glory to Rome, but also he has Innovation, he has Glory to Rome, and he has that other game. Matanai, I believe. I believe that's the one. But either way, and he also has Aegean Sea, and all of them have, that's not true, most of those have in common a degree of multi-use cards as far as how you utilize your cards. Age of Rome, Matanai, and now Aegean Sea look like it has that multi-use card aspect. So if you're someone who's enjoyed Matanai, or you're someone who's enjoyed Glory to Rome, I think I just said Age of Rome, but I meant Glory to Rome, then you should probably check this one out. Bunch of different decks, bunch of different multi-use cards. Looks very compelling as you use your cards for anything from goods to transport to whatever it is in this game. The art looks cool. I'll be paying attention to it. I've liked his games. Innovation is my favorite of his games though so far, but we shall see. We'll see. I'm looking forward to this one launching September in 25 days from now, which basically means roughly September 25th. Then we have Redwood from Sit Down Games launching September 28th. Redwood's going to be a game of trying to find the right perspective. You're going to be lining up your things, choosing the right objective, photograph the animals. It looks very intriguing. Almost seems to drop like... what's that game that has a degree of perspective going on in it? Tang Garden. Almost seems a bit Tang Garden-y. Beautiful art, beautiful miniatures from Sit Down Games. I love their last game, Pachamama. No idea if I love this one, but 4,000 followers. That's not bad at all. I'm very intrigued, very interested in this one. We shall see what happens to this. I mean, the art is gorgeous and the miniatures are gorgeous, and Sit Down Games has generally done some very innovative stuff as far as the games. Designed by the creators of Cult Express and Bitoku, so you know there's some what's the word for it? A lineage there? Not lineage. Design chops, I guess that's probably the right term. Anyways, moving on to Majesty of Dragons. This is coming to Kickstarter, 508 followers, 2-player strategic game. I'll have coverage in this one. I really enjoyed this one. I hope this one does well. I want to see more followers, so please follow it, maybe, I guess, sort of. But either way, Majesty of Dragons, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a great 2-player head-to-head game with multiple ways to win and therefore multiple ways to push your agenda back and forth. As you try to vie for one victory, you get pushed down, you have to try to pivot and adjust. Really enjoyed this. Very simple 2-player game, plays around 30 to 45 minutes. It's all about collecting dragons and doing so more efficiently than the other player, but there's enough other stuff happening there that overall very compelled. Not entirely sure why there's a dragon miniature here. I feel that's completely unnecessary from what I know about the game. I mean, I guess I understand why there's a dragon miniature, because more people will back the game if there's a dragon miniature. From what I've played of the game, I don't need a dragon miniature. I'll pop it up on the shelf behind me maybe, but that's as far as it'll go. From there we have Dune War for Arrakis. Now I don't have a date for this one. We do have 9,000 followers there. This is when we get to see if Kaan really has managed to just how much Kaan has annoyed people. We'll get to see with this one, because Dune War for Arrakis, that is something that should, by all accounts, do very well on Kickstarter. Will it, though, is a different conversation. I'm very interested to find out. But overall, the miniatures I've seen so far from them look amazing. I've heard from people who played the game that it's very solid. I'm very excited for this one. Have not played it yet myself. Overall, I'm sure I'll be back in this one. It's a Kaan game, and sometimes I walk into Kaan titles not actually excited. This is one of those times. I mean, they usually get me anyway, but this is one of those times where I'm excited even already. Definitely very excited for this one. Dune War for Arrakis. I imagine it's launching in September. Certainly not a guarantee. Just based on their usual pattern of releasing information, I'm guessing it's a September game. And then we have Keyforge Winds of Exchange, another one that I don't have a date for. This is a Gamefound preview over here, 8,000 people following it. This is Keyforge coming from Ghost Galaxy. This is basically, they took back Keyforge, or took over Keyforge, and they're going to be bringing you Winds of Exchange, as well as, you know, prior races and factions and things and mechanics all mixed together in this newest set for Keyforge. Very intrigued by this one. I had a chance to play Soulforge, which is a different game, but shared creator, shared system of, unique decks or whatnot. It actually made me more interested to play Keyforge when I was not before. So I may have a chance to dive into this one. We'll see. I'm certainly more interested. The art looks beautiful. One of my problems with Soulforge is I think the game does not look good or feel good, or it feels bad, but it actually is a good game. And I will, for context, I'll take a good game that doesn't look or have good components over a game that looks premium. It isn't. But Keyforge has generally gotten pretty positive testimonials and whatnot, positive reviews and all that, and I'm excited. I'm excited to see this one and to see if it's a game that I enjoy or not. And then lastly, and this is actually not even, I'm sorry, this is not even September. I just like the game, so I'm going to tease this anyway. We have Mosaic Wars and Disasters expansion. In case you missed out on Mosaic, in case you're interested or compelled by the fact that either I love this game or the fact that Dice Tower gave it across the board high reviews on their 4 Squares review, whatever it is. I don't think they call them 4 Squares anymore. I think they now just do reviews. But this is Mosaic Wars and Disasters will be launching in October. Why am I talking about it now in upcoming Kickstarters for September? Because I like Mosaic, and so sometimes I do things that I shouldn't because I like to. And so this is an example of that. There'll be a link to this down below. It's not a September Kickstarter, not that I know of, but it is an opportunity to jump into Mosaic in case you missed out on it, especially if you're someone who, is looking at those high-priced copies on eBay and you want to get this one. You will have to wait, granted. That is the price of, well, waiting. The price is waiting, but the flip side is you'll pay less money, and so maybe that's a good thing for you, maybe not, we'll see. In any case, that is everything. These are a small selection of the Kickstarters. I had to cut out a good 10 plus campaigns that I normally would have covered just because of how much stuff there is. I debated breaking it up into 2 videos, decided not to this time. Could have, probably should have. I mean, that video's not that long. Either way, until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. Hope you enjoyed this video. Remind us to subscribe to Shelf Clutter, and now it's time for me to go find out exactly what all that crackle of drama is about.